Hi everyone, I'm hopeful that all you will be fine. In the last session, we have learned how you can actually get the Zoom cloud recordings using the Zoom REST API. Okay, in today's session, we will learn how you can actually get the Zoom cloud recording registrants. Okay, so if you have a recording on a Zoom cloud and you have an enabled registrant that you are going to providing recording on demand, okay, then you can get the registrants by their status to filter the records using the Zoom REST API. Okay, so for that we first need to create a relative endpoint path helper inside the Zoom constants. So here we need to create a recording registrants. Okay, we need to create a helper called meeting ID. We need to pass the meeting ID as a parameter, and we need to use the string interpolation here. We need to call the recording. Okay, and we need to pass the meeting ID, and at the end we need to append the registrants. Okay, this registrants relative endpoint will give us the registrants list. Okay, so now we need to export that helper. We say recording registrants, need to forward the code. Inside the Zoom recording helper, we first need to import that. Okay. So here we place a comma and we say recording registrants. Okay. And at the bottom, we need to create a helper for that. So we say const cloud recording registrants. Okay, async, and we need to pass the meeting ID as a parameter, and we need to pass the filter. Okay, for query parameters. Inside the meeting ID, you can pass the long number form of integer. Okay, so you cannot pass any UUID in this endpoint. You can only pass the meeting ID in the form of integer long number. Okay, so you can pass that number, meeting ID number. Okay, and this API have a medium rate limit. That means you can only send 20 requests per second if you have a pro plan, and you can send 60 requests per second if you have a business class. Okay, you must be have a recording read or recording read admin scope to request this endpoint. Okay, and inside the filter you can filter the records by passing a query parameter called status. Inside the status you can pass any one value from this list. Okay, either you can set status pending, either you can set status approved, either you can pass denied. You can set any one value to status and filter the records using that registrant endpoint. Okay, inside the filter you can also set the page size. If you are not setting the page size, then default size is 30, and you can max this to 300. Okay, if the records are greater than that page size, then you will have a next page token in the response to iterate the next page and get the next page records. Okay, so this endpoint, we have a next page token. That means we have needed to request all the records integrated helper in a one call. Okay, but from our helper we need to call the Zoom REST APIs multiple times. For that we need to be build a recursive logic. For that I have already implemented a recursive logic inside the utils. You can see here I have a page request helper. Inside that we have a set the set timeout, and we have a built the XUS. So we need to call that inside the do while here. So we first need to import that page request from require, and we say utils. Okay, now we need to build the do while logic so we can iterate. So here we say do while, and inside the do while we need to call the page request helper. So we say const data, and we say await, and we request page request. Inside that we need to pass the URL as a parameter. So we build the URL from the relative path helper called recording registrants. Inside that we need to pass the meeting ID, and we have a next page token. We will set that next page token from the filter. So we say filter next page token. Okay, and we do not have any page number on this endpoint, so we are going to set the undefined, and last parameter is the timeout. We are setting 100 milliseconds. Okay, and here we need to check in the response that if data and data dot next page token is available, then we set that next page token inside the filter. So we say filter next page token, data.next page token. Okay, if there's no any next page token inside the data, then we need to set filter.next page token to empty string, so that on the last request we need to end the while loop. We are setting else part for that purpose. Okay, at the bottom we need to check if data and data.registrants. If the registrants are in the response, then we need to concat those inside the cloud recording registrants results. We copy, paste it here. We need to call that concat, and we need to concat the registrants from the data. Okay, we will apply a condition on a filter the next page token. So if inside the filter we have a next page token, until that this do while will keep iterate, okay, and keep sending requests to the Zoom API. Okay, for this session I have a pro plan, so that's why I set it 100 milliseconds, so that I can meet the medium limit for the same point. Okay, but if you have a business plus, then you can set the timeout as per your plan. And at the bottom we need to return the result. So here we need to format the code, and we need to export that helper. So we say cloud recording registrant, need to format the code, and inside the recording API we first need to import. So we say cloud recording registrant. At the bottom we need to build the endpoint called API Zoom/recordings, and we need to pass the meeting ID as a parameter, and we said registrants. Async request response. Inside that handler we need to call the helper. So we say here lead recording registrants, cloud recording registrants. Okay, inside the cloud recording registrants we need to pass the meeting ID, and we will get that from request params.meeting ID. And for the filter we need to pass request.query. Okay, and we need to return response.json recording registrants. Okay, place a semicolon here, and here need to format the code. And now we need to start the API. So npm start. Now we just need to send the request. Before that we need to place a breakpoint here, and now we need to first authorize. We say localhost 44000 API Zoom, and we say authorize. Enter. We are successfully authorized. Now we need to call the endpoint. So we say API Zoom recordings, and at the end we need to set the registrants. Enter. And we need to move on. And inside the data you can see we have only one record inside the registrants. Okay, and this registrant status approved. Okay, you can see here we do not have a next page token. So inside the filter we do not have any next page token, so we will get back from the this do while, and we are in the response back. Here we have a recording registrants. Now just send back to the browser. Hey, you can see we have a list of. Okay, I'm hopeful that you have enjoyed this session. If you have any query regarding this session, then just please place your queries inside the video comment section. Either you can share your queries and suggestions via my shared contact details. Hopefully we will come back with another session. Take care. Bye bye.